Hey guys, welcome to the stream. View Sports Talk starts in about 4 minutes. That's Shaka Brody, aka Ben C, in the house today from Hat Club.
Holla!
Hope you guys are enjoying your Wednesday night.
Just here, the Pacers are busting the Knicks' ass right now.
Good. God, trying to build a win streak right now.
I'm just glad we don't have to keep playing you guys, man. It's boring basketball.
Jesus. How much time's left in the game?
We got 8 minutes in the fourth. You guys are
Pacers
up
still by 6?
Yeah, Pacers up by 6.
All right. It's crunch time, and they've been god awful in the third quarter, so I'm glad they actually maintained a lead for once.
Miles Turner's been killing us.
You guys gonna keep Turner? I was gonna ask about that.
Dude, I hope so. I mean, if there's one guy who's made miraculous strides of improvement over the last 2 years, it's Miles Turner.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's the guy I was hoping you guys would give up on.
Yeah, that's what everybody thought. You know, it's just like he ended up losing like 15, 20 pounds of goo during the offseason and came back, 100% healthy, and he's just been bombing threes all season.
Yeah, exactly.
Swatting everything. Swatting everything.
Yeah, and that too. Like, I mean, aside from him being a offensive powerhouse right now, he could get Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Or the NBA started already?
That's right.
It's not
for the Celtics. The Celtics are still in the offseason.
Marcus Smart's ready to fight somebody over there.
NBA season starts at Christmas.
That's a valid point, actually.
It might be over for you guys by Christmas.
Well, maybe. But hey, I got a championship.
That's true.
Had a kid.
That's true.
First one since 08.
That's right.
For my teams, anyway.
Them trash throws.
Yeah, we won't need to bring up the Raiders right now.
Mm-mm.
You know, the funny thing about the Raiders, after they fired Chucky or he resigned, they've actually been playing incredible football.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah. Now if they can just get rid of their GM and get a real one.
Exactly.
Mike Mayock.
I mean, he was the worst draft analyst
on the NFL Network.
Yep.
On all the networks combined, and then
exactly.
They go and hire him as GM.
Yeah, right. That's crazy.
Hey, Leon, did you have a picture for this?
Yeah. Let me send it to you.
Man, as soon as I close the blinds, you just start going dark real quick.
Definitely don't.
No, the crazier thing, as soon as I'm done here, I have to like jam to FedEx to go pick up my Jordan 3s.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I saw you hit on those.
Yeah, and the guy tried to deliver it while I was in the middle of a meeting, and I'm just like,
Oh.
why? Why now?
Of all the hours in the day, you picked this one?
He chose right now.
Exactly. God. Come on, Pacers. I feel like I wore the wrong jersey combo today.
Good one, though.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be pertinent to our discussion.
That's right. Come on, man. Get the fucking rebound.
Google must be way behind.
It was crazy last night. I was watching the game, and I had MLB.com Gamecast up.
Yeah.
I knew they had won like 2 pitches before
they showed it on on TV.
Yeah, that was crazy. Of course, I got YouTube TV, so it's like,
Yeah, me too. That's what I have. So it's a little bit behind. That's why there's times where I'm watching like games. Sometimes I'll just turn off the alerts on my phone because I know I'm gonna hear about it before it even happens.
Kind of surprising that just basic cable actually has a lot quicker than high def does.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's all that encoding and decoding it doesn't have to do.
Valid.
All right.
All right. At least Indiana can hit some free throws. I like that.
Hey guys, welcome to the Vault, another episode of View Sports Talk. You have myself, Leon, Hat Crawler, Jason, Kyle in the house. We have a special guest filling in for Pierre and Neil, Ben from Hat Club. So,
Hey!
So I hope you guys enjoy this. We will be covering two topics today. First topic will be Jason's Braves. Recently won the World Series. It canceled our watch party. We were about to have a watch party. Jason,
you guys were. There's no way I was going to watch a Game 7 with anybody else around me. No way.
Yeah. But first off, some World Series takeaways. How does it feel, Jason? And hopefully you're not too hungover.
No. One, I'm way too old, and it was a Tuesday. So I mean, it was. Didn't hit the bottle too hard last night, but I really still can't even believe it. Just because it was like the most improbable run to a championship we've seen in a really long time. They didn't even hit the 500 mark until August 6th. I mean, completely rebuilt half their lineup at the trade deadline. It just 2 months of the hottest baseball they could have played, and it worked out.
Yeah, what they play down the stretch? 23-5.
They're 40-21.
Yeah, after the All-Star
break in the last 60 games, and then and then just, I mean, like, have to go 2 bullpen games every single series, and actually get wins out of those.
Losing Charlie Morton game 1.
Yeah, Charlie Morton breaking his leg in the first inning of game 1. I'm like, oh well, that was fun run, but we're able to pull it out, man. It was just amazing. And then to have Solaire, Iowa Cubs own Jorge Solaire.
Oh yeah,
he spent a lot of time here to win the MVP. It was good to see, get his career back on track, and now let's see if they can actually do it again next year with the regular roster back in place.
Yeah, first team ever, I think, right, to win against 395 win teams.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. The last 8 years, 8 new winners, so 8 different teams. Right. So
that's crazy. That's crazy right there.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, you talked about it though. They've rebuilt it. I think you guys have one of the best GMs in the game.
He's GM of the year, that's for sure.
Yeah. After he was able to rebound after Acuna got hurt, he went out and got Jock Peterson, Solaire, Eddie Rosario.
Getting Eddie, when he was even on the injured list,
get picked up till
DL.
February.
And they go get him just hoping they'd be in position to use him.
And he absolutely killed this playoffs and NLCS MVP. So Anthopoulos did a great job. How do you think Acuna feels? I mean, obviously we all know Acuna is a great player. That's not.
He was carrying that team in the early part of the season.
Yeah, he's got to feel terrible.
Yeah, right. Just not being able to
feel ecstatic. He's getting a ring, but
of course,
to be the future of that program and not even get a chance to participate in the World Series.
Yeah,
I think got really 2 to 3 years too early.
Yeah.
I don't think he's feeling too bad. It's
not
like he got traded, right?
No, exactly.
He got benched.
Right.
He got hurt, freak injury.
No fault of his own, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, if he doesn't get hurt, they don't make those trades.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Right?
Mr. Brave Freddie Freeman, obviously been with the organization forever.
It's gonna be a tough off season for you guys, I think. Like a lot of these guys are hitting free agencies.
Well, they're all free agents. Like they're basically, they rented them for this year. So
pretty much exactly.
And then Freeman's the biggest one.
Yeah, definitely. You got to keep him.
I mean, just
Solaire, you got to hang on to too, especially after getting the World Series MVP.
Yeah,
that's the thing though. Like if you win that
price
reward
tag just went up.
It doesn't always mean you're gonna get a big payday, right? We've seen it with Steven Pierce. We've seen it with a couple guys.
Well, we've seen
my
Raiders of the '90s. basically went and signed every Super Bowl MVP, and it never worked out for him.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, it's interesting. Do you guys have any takeaways from any of the playoff teams? You think anyone's going to make a move? Like, where does Houston go from here? I mean, they've gone for 2 off seasons in a row. They've lost arguably some of their top players, right? So
Correa's probably gone. I mean,
he is. They lost Springer last shortstop. Year. Holy crap!
Maldonato's a free agent. Verlander's a free agent. Greinke's a free agent. Gurriel is a club option, which, I mean, he's 37, 38 years old. I think the Astros will still pick it up just because he's still reliable. But yeah, they're not gonna be the same team we've seen over the last few years.
Yeah. Losing 2 guys like Springer, losing Springer and Correa potentially in back-to-back off seasons.
Yep.
That'll
hurt going back one more. Going back one more,
before that, exactly. So that's gonna definitely hurt your team as far as just talent-wise, not having, obviously Bregman will probably move over to short, but still you're losing Correa more than likely, and he's a great player.
Where do you think he goes? The big rumor is Detroit.
I'd be okay with that, actually.
Yeah, he back with AJ Hinch in Detroit.
Yeah,
but you know how it's gonna be. Whoever's gonna get him the top dollar, that's where he's going.
It's got to be close to 300, right? 10 over 250, 10.
Probably around 300, maybe not, because he's only 27. Remember, he's only 27.
Yep.
And more than likely, he's gonna be a guy that in a couple of years might move to third, probably, being that he's a bigger shortstop. He's to say that he's gonna play shortstop at the moment, but yeah, he's gonna get 300 for sure.
He's got a cannon, man.
Yeah, he does.
Cow.
And it's been rumored Buster Posey will announce his retirement.
That's crazy.
Tomorrow. Yeah. So where did the Giants go? They had a magical run. A lot of their guys are
they got a lot of free agents as well.
I'd say the Giants, of all the teams that made the playoffs, the Giants are probably in the most screwed position of all the teams of trying to actually make it back in the postseason next year.
I mean, they way overplayed their talent this entire year.
Absolutely.
Anyway. Yeah. So,
and I'm not saying that because I'm an A's fan and I'm not a Giants hater or anything like that, but it's just like it's the reality of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And they made a lot of good deadline deals. I mean, bringing Chris Bryant in, for example, was huge for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with their free agents, Posey, if he actually does retire, Brandon Belt's a free agent. Honestly, I think it's time to let him go because he just keeps getting injured every single time. Mm-hmm. In which case, there's going to be a lot of dollars. I say keep Bryant. Why the hell not? Alex Wood, Tachman is available.
Gosman.
Got here. Flores is a free agent. Tyler Chatwood's a free agent. Cueto's a free agent. Gossman. Holy shit.
Yeah. Half their team too. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough for them to kind of repeat what they did this year. Because, I mean, going into the season, nobody expected them to do anything. Obviously, like Jason said, they played way above what anybody expected from them. So, especially losing guys that they're going to be losing, more than likely, it's going to be tough for them to kind of capture that magic again, going into next season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's really going to show, like, okay, what kind of a manager, what's his fate? Yeah. How much he's actually going to do, because I still look at it as, his time with the Dodgers organization as a scout, and then he gets the job in Philly and doesn't do a great job, so they can him. The Giants just need a body after Bochy, so that's why they bring him in. And then his first full season, it's just like, oh, okay, interesting. So I think this next season is really going to be his test.
Definitely. It's going to be interesting, but
what about the Yankees?
The Yankees. I mean, obviously, as a Yankee fan, I think they have to make drastic improvement on that team. We've seen it.
Well, we've seen that they're not able to because they just gave that bum of a manager a 3-year extension.
Well, listen, I agree. I'm not a Aaron Boone fan, but listen, most of these managers now, you've seen Schilt from the Cardinals got fired, or they kind of parted ways. These GMs want puppets pretty much to be there. They want control. They want the analytics department to run the show. The numbers are sent down from them. Lineups are sent down from upstairs. So these managers aren't really, they're just executing the game plan of what the GM and the analytic, people want. They're not even really there to be like your typical back in the day type of manager,
Yep.
So
there's not many of those guys left. All right?
There's really no. Snicker was one of the few. He's an older coach from the Braves.
La Russa maybe.
Yeah, La
Russa's
Russa.
definitely
The changes he made in Game 5 to shake that lineup completely up and got Bregman going again. That was genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dusty Baker probably is another one. But a lot of these managers know coming in that they're more than likely going to be, you're not getting old school managers like the ones that are still around, like a Buck Showalter or who else is, potential old school head coach. Managers.
They're saying Ozzie Guillen potentially.
Yeah. Exactly.
For the Padres. The Padres are going to need someone to kind of,
no, the Padres got
Padres hired Bob Melvin.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Shit. Okay.
Which sucks.
That's news to me. But
Ron Washington could be in play for Oakland. I mean, now that he's got his World Series ring,
Exactly.
Ozzie Guillen, I think, is a thought for that. But then again, it's the A's, and so they are still adhering to the Moneyball philosophy. They're still adhering to the analytics, and so how much of that was Bob Melvin really managing the team? How much was him just taking orders? And so realistically, the A's could just throw anybody in there, and it's like, well, as long as you follow our plan, you'll have a job.
Exactly. Which I think that's.
I could do that job then.
Yeah.
Oh, same.
I'm available, guys. Hey, I'd even do AAA if you want to. That's fine.
You get the best seat in the house. You
get
to wear pajamas to work.
The odd thing is, you have to wear a uniform. They're the only coaches in sports that wear the uniform of the players.
Imagine Bill Belichick wearing some shoulder pads on the sideline.
I love it.
They're getting more lax with it. Though,
Popovich in Spurs shorts. Yeah,
you got to wear the pants, but sometimes the top you can wear like
they
warm-up
could do
jacket.
a lot of them down sweatshirts. I get it. It's weird to me, but it would also look strange if they weren't wearing a uniform too.
Yeah,
just one of those.
I guess so. Look like an equipment manager or something, or athletic.
I was gonna say, actually, back to the old Connie Mack days of wearing a full-on like three-piece suit.
Yeah, the hat.
There we go.
Wide rim hat. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, my dream job in major leagues would be a bullpen catcher.
Absolutely, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's the life right there.
Oh yeah. You play catch with all the pitchers before the game, and then you sit bullshit with the guys out in the bullpen.
Exactly.
Oh, you need to warm up? Okay. Pop. All right, you're good to go.
And you get like $60,000 to $80,000 a year to do that.
Yeah. You get a ticket to every game. Travel expenses.
Travel expenses paid for.
Yeah, that'd be the life right there.
Absolutely.
That's a good life.
Anyway.
All right. Any other teams that we should cover? I don't know what the heck Boston's going to do. I don't know enough about them to talk about them.
I mean, Boston, the only two guys to really worry about in there are going to be Schwarber, free agent, and JD Martinez, and whether or not the Red Sox actually want to pick up his option, especially with his ankle problem that he's having now. It's like either they're going to stick with it because they lost Mookie Betts, or they'll realize like, all right, he's not going to be 100% now, but I think they're going to hang on to him.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could either, if they lose JD, obviously they got the replacement right there for DH Schwarber. I think they will prefer him to be the DH instead of playing first. They'll probably try to go and get a first baseman. And I guess it just
Freeman.
Yeah, it depends. Remember, they were expected to have a bad year this year. And also they came under the luxury tax. So there's possible they could go out and spend this offseason on guys, people they need to improve the team.
Yeah. Well, they got a whole year to kind of see what they have in Verdugo and Bobby Dahlback. Kind of bigger type prospects for them.
Yeah.
Verdugo was the guy they got back from the Mookie Betts trade.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
And then the Dodgers, the other crazy team that has a ton of free agents. I mean, they've got Kershaw, Scherzer, Kenley Jansen, Chris Taylor, Knebel, Souza, Seager, all free agents.
Big one.
Wow.
Isn't Turner too?
No,
Turner
got one more year
for another 2 years, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is crazy that Washington traded him to me.
I meant Justin Turner.
Oh yeah, Justin Turner's gone. All right, he's a free agent, I think.
No, I think
he signed a 1 year
left.
deal.
1 more year.
Did he only sign a 1 year deal?
I think he signed a 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I mean, that's another team that I think Seager's more than likely going to be going as well.
Bauer's up in the air. right?
Bauer's not. He's not
Bauer's done. He's done.
Yeah.
done.
So they're potentially losing a lot over there. Moving forward, like they got Trey Turner, but I don't know if they really trust him. He didn't really look that good for him to me.
No.
Corey Seager to lose that bat. I mean, he is steady, but it is going to cost a lot of money to keep him.
Yeah.
Turner's got one more year.
Okay.
But actually, in regard to Seager, I mean, now that Seager in Seattle's not going to get re-signed, I mean, bring in the little brother. I mean, plays the same position. Why not?
Yeah.
He's going to be cheaper.
Oh, way cheaper.
Yeah.
And the Mariners have deep pockets anyway, and they're looking to like really make a splash in the offseason, according to them. So I say, hell, do it.
Their fans could just taste it. They're almost there, They almost
after
got
the season
there.
they had. They fell a few games short of the playoffs.
Two goddamn games.
Yeah. So I think they got room, and they got a lot of young talent on that team. If they could bring in a guy that, a veteran, and I know saying Seager's a veteran, but he is a veteran. He's been in the league for a while already, even though he's still fairly young. But it's gonna be interesting. I think there's gonna be the shortstop market this year, it's a lot of guys. You got Simeon, you got Baez, you got Correa, you got Seager,
Trevor
Story.
Yep.
There's gonna be interesting to see how the chips fall and who goes first and who sets the market and what other teams, because you figure, I mean, a lot of these guys are gonna get big money. Obviously, some are going to be more than others, but there's only so many teams. So I won't be surprised if there's maybe one or two guys that don't get what they're looking for, only for the fact that there's not going to be many teams that are going to go out there and spend $200+ million on a player.
Yeah.
250 plus, It's going to be the typical teams, Boston, the Yankees, the Mets, possibly. LA is always in the mix, but
a lot of those teams already have shortstops, right? So the Mets have already locked up Lindor for a lot of years, right? The Dodgers already have Turner, so we'll see. There wasn't a big market for even Simeon last year. Like he had a big prove it year,
which is insane, and he's going to get a huge payday this next season.
Absolutely.
I'm hoping he stays, but I'll be here all year long. West Coast guy, I want to go back home, whatever. But he still took the 1 year prove it contract from the Jays, and he did prove it.
He proved it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest gut punch out of that is if the Giants open up a room for him and like, we got money. Come on back home.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I think Simeon's going to be the first shortstop that's taken, and it's only going to be on like a 3-year deal.
Think so?
Whereas like as you were saying earlier with Correa, it's like that's going to have to be like a long-term, at least 7 to 8 year deal for somebody like him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Probably be similar to like when Bryce and Machado were free agents. They just waited out and see which team would buckle and give them
100%.
the 11 and 10 year or 13-year deals that they wanted.
Because Simeon's an older guy too. I mean, so he's not getting no 7-8 year deal.
No.
He's, I believe, 30, 31, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Like 32, 33.
Okay, so
range.
I think I could see him getting like a 4-year deal, 4 to 5 possibly. For about like 150 maybe.
Which is fair.
Yeah, which is fair for him.
He very calmly hit 40-something home runs last year.
Yeah, exactly. And I
was going to say, he's going to get his second top 3 MVP finish. Exactly. At least he should this year.
Yeah.
His influence is real, man. Like I saw it firsthand with the Blue Jays. He relaxed that lineup, man. They didn't get too high, too low throughout the year. Like just what he did in his short time. And I'd hate to see him go, but I would understand if he does. I mean, he wants to.
Yeah, I really hated to see him go.
Yes,
I can imagine.
Thanks a lot, Ace. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, but any other teams that we didn't cover? I mean, do you guys know anything about the Brewers? I mean, the Brewers, that's that 3-headed dragon out front, and then that crazy bullpen out back, and they got one of the coolest managers in the game.
Yeah, but Yelich will return.
Braun retired, right?
Yeah. The Brewers only have the only free agent losses they're going to have Jackie Bradley Jr. and Avisail Garcia, and that's it.
Yeah, so they're pretty much.
And Bradley Jr. just mentioning him, he picked up his option today, actually.
Oh, dope. So Avisail Garcia is the only question mark at the moment.
Yeah,
but I feel like the Brewers will make a splash with at least somebody else other than Garcia. Not to hate on him, but I feel like they can do better. And then they're just going to get a bunch of bullpen arms. and that's it.
Yeah,
I need it.
They were just sneaky good all year, like kind of underappreciated. They play in a weaker division.
Yeah.
They had a lot of all-stars though, right?
Yeah.
Like three all-stars, 4 all-stars.
yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe over here I kind of underestimate them, but they
Sorry,
were
I was buying a hat. So do we talk about the White Sox?
Actually,
No, we didn't.
We did not.
I mean, they got their core signed to long-term deals already. So
Yeah.
you gotta watch out for them.
I think the big thing is they got the experience they needed, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
A lot of people didn't take them to go that far, even though they did have a good record. They didn't have a good record against above 500 teams. So yeah, they have I guess Carlos Rondon is a pending free agent.
Yes, he is.
Their pitching staff is getting a year older. Lance Lynn's getting a year older. I don't know what they're going to do. Kimbrel, that opened up a big hole in the middle of their infield.
Yeah.
They're going to have to find a second baseman, but their core, like Jason said, one of the most exciting cores in baseball, young cores.
And as far as Lance Lynn goes, I know he's a year older, but is there much a difference between 59 and 60? I mean,
no.
Right. Guy looks like he should be in retirement home, not a pitching mound, but
yeah. I mean, he held up pretty good this year.
Yeah.
I know. No, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
They
think
got to replace Dallas Keuchel, though. He did not look good.
I think that's their one concern coming into next year. I think they could somewhat improve their starting pitching. Offensively, they got the best. Tim Anderson, Abreu, Moncada, Eloy Jimenez, the list goes Eloy Jimenez.
On and on, yeah.
But if they could improve their pitching, particularly starting pitching, I think they could come out next year and have a good season as well. And like you said, that division is not the strongest division.
Yeah.
So,
but no,
I'm still scratching my head over them bringing back La Russa. I just thought that was such a weird.
That was Reinsdorf making up for past choices.
No, because I really thought. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Rick Renteria was an old school coach, and so, but he wasn't the guy that was going to lead them into the promised land. And so, if they want to stick with that old school philosophy, La Russa was available. So it's like I get it, but I'm still confused by it.
Yeah.
And the other Chicago team,
who cares?
I know, but I think it's
that
great
team.
that they had a fire sale because they couldn't get it done. And all those guys were major contributors on playoff teams.
Major contributors.
I'm like, why couldn't you guys do that when you were playing together?
Exactly.
They didn't even get a lot back for them. I feel like they didn't. Though.
They didn't get like draft picks and minor leaguers.
That's what's crazy
really
about
not
it.
much. Exactly. And it just goes to show you how quickly things can turn. Like 5 years ago, they were looked at like the next dynasty.
Right. They had all those guys for 4 or 5 years locked up.
Exactly. And look, 5 years later, they're done. The Cubs are pretty much back in rebuilding stage.
I love it. 100% love it.
Not a Cubs fan, huh?
No, I mean, this goes, I mean, as you were just saying that they were built to be a dynasty. And so I go back to the 2016 World Series, and I was really hoping the Indians were going to win that World Series just because of the belief that, the Cubs may not win it this year, but they're set to go back and back and back. And they didn't do it. Like, no matter how much talent they had. And
well, they honestly should have won a couple before 2016 too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
and so with them just kind of wasting the talent they had, it's just like, I don't feel bad for them at all.
Yeah.
That's a White Sox town anyway.
I love it.
You heard it here first, kids.
Yeah.
I will die on that hill.
Did we miss any teams? Did we cover everyone? I think we covered everyone. Right?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Oh, so Cardinals, I guess we didn't, but
okay.
Who cares?
Okay. I mean, look, the Cardinals. I was talking to Stal Smith. Shout out to Stal, big Cardinals fan. He was saying like they needed to grab someone, and I'm like, you guys just grabbed Goldie. You guys just grabbed Nolan Arenado. How many other franchise players are you gonna grab?
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
He's done after next year.
Who is?
Yadier.
Oh, Yadi. Yeah.
Yadi's retiring.
Is Wainwright coming back?
Wainwright's retiring with him.
Wainwright's retire.
Yeah.
Damn though, he was still still dealing though at 40 years old.
Yeah.
Can't believe it. But yeah, they had a good run. But they're missing pieces. They need to go out and shore up that starting pitching and maybe they'll make another run again. That division is, besides the Brewers, there's not much there.
They got some young pieces too. Harrison Bader, O'Neal is a stud.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I knew who we forgot. We forgot the Rays.
Oh God, the Rays.
I mean, whatever, they can barely.
Who knows what minor leaguers they're going to pull out of the
exactly
hat
right.
and throw into a starting lineup that's World Series caliber.
And they don't have
anyone
that
they want to pay.
They don't have that
trade.
many free agents during this offseason. Like Zunino's like the only guy, and they're probably going to pick up the option on him. And
exactly.
They still have everybody else locked up for at least another year.
Exactly. And I don't know if this matters, but each level of their minor league system won a championship this year.
Yeah.
So that means they got guys coming down the pipeline somewhere.
Yeah. So that means anyone who's scheduled to make any type of money will probably get traded.
Exactly. Bring those guys up.
And it'll be the same.
Yeah, and they'll just restock with draft picks and prospects and
and keep on.
Cycle just continues. Best farm system in Major League Baseball.
Yep.
Yeah.
But also worst Major League Baseball, worst good Major League Baseball team potentially of all time.
Yeah.
At least from an operational perspective.
Well, if they could get some fans in the stadium.
Like I'm not local, so I don't really understand the problems, but I just keep hearing like people don't want to make the drive. Like what? You don't.
It must be traffic. It must be a traffic. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, because you got to go across the bridge.
Go across the bridge. It's all the way on the other side of Florida.
And their games are on, after early bird dinner.
Yeah.
You're in for the evening. It's a hassle.
Like, does anyone feel sorry for them though? It's like, oh my God, you can't support your 100-win team. Like, I don't know, man.
I think that's just a Florida thing. I mean, if you look at the Marlins, we know the Marlins are horrible.
Baseball state.
Yeah, it's just not a baseball state in Florida.
They're football. Well, minus the Dolphins, but
I remember when the Heat were good, and no one could get tickets.
Yeah,
right.
And you'd watch the first 3 quarters, and the stadium was empty, even though it was a sellout.
There's so much to do in Miami, right?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's a Florida thing or
it's a Florida thing.
Because I mean, college sports, like people will come out for that, and so I just think that. And then also the weirder part is like there's a ton of talent baseball wise that comes out of Florida.
Yeah.
But as far as any professional standpoint, it's just like nobody cares. But there's also a ton of minor league teams in the state as well. So
there's an entire league down there for one.
And the spring training.
And so with that, it's like, well, your fan base in your state is made up of Yankees fans, Red Sox fans, Cardinals fans, and the fans will come out when their team plays whatever the major
training.
League.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's just like nobody has really transitioned over to their own local major league team.
The college, I will say too about the college games down there, they're in the northern part of the state, away from the bigger cities.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're closer to Georgia, closer to Alabama, Mississippi, and so they do get those huge supporters. But it's the further south you go, they just don't want to go sit in those arenas outside the air conditioning or away from their pudding.
All right.
Crazy. I mean, the Florida Panthers play in an air-conditioned arena. They can't even get people to watch that.
Hockey in Southern Florida does not make sense.
That's another topic.
Yeah.
But I guess the next topic, the NBA recently just celebrated their 75th anniversary. Fun fact, that's the Toronto Huskies when they hosted the New York Knickerbockers 75 years ago. So in conjunction with that, the NBA released the top 75 players list. They did not automatically take the top 50 and convert it over. They had to be revoted in. Right. So did anyone fall off that list?
No, all 50 of them got revoted back on.
Okay. So there was a couple people from that era that got added that weren't originally. Right?
Correct.
Reggie Miller, Joe Dumars, a couple.
Bob McAdoo.
Yeah.
There was a couple of guys that made that weren't on the 50th list that made the 75 list.
Yeah. So that made it less spots available to, I guess, the last 25 years. Right. So there were some noticeable snubs Was there any egregious omissions to you guys? I guess we'll start with Kyle.
Okay.
Or we'll start.
Actually, you mentioned Joe Dumars, who did not make the 75 list, and that's one of my snubs.
Oh, he didn't make it.
No. And that's definitely why I'm wearing the Joe Dumars jersey today.
Okay, we'll start with you then.
All right,
make the case.
I'll go with my top three because I wrote a ton of names down.
Okay.
But Joe Dumars is one of them. Dennis Johnson, probably the greatest sixth man of all time. And my defense of him is based on 9-time all-defensive team, 2 All-NBA, 5 All-Star, 3 NBA championships, including 1979 NBA Finals MVP. And then Dwight Howard's the obvious one, but I'm going to throw Dikembe Mutombo in the list as well.
Okay.
So 2 point guards and a center there.
Nice.
I could definitely see. Yeah, wasn't even thinking Mutombo, but like he was defensive player of the year for like 2 decades straight.
4 times.
All 4, 20, whatever. But yeah, he was dominant defensive center of his time. So whenever we talk about these lists or talk about the Hall of Fame, it's always very hard to judge. Especially when you go across eras, and there's probably been 4 or 5 different distinct eras in the NBA.
Yep.
Maybe even more than that. So it's really hard to judge across those, right? So obviously George Mikan would be a PUD, and he probably wouldn't be on an NBA roster today, but he's still considered one of the greatest players of all time. Yep. I heard a writer for Baseball Hall of Fame make a pretty good statement, and that was, in order to even be considered on his ballot, you had to have been in the top 3 of your position at least at some point in your career. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's pretty good. And so for this all-time list, I think you got to be like the top in your position at some point in your career. And so I don't know where I was going with that. I think it's more about the people that are on the list that probably shouldn't be, but my vote would probably go with Manu Ginobili.
Wow.
And I would argue sixth man of the greatest sixth man of all time with Dennis Johnson. But the Spurs had a dynasty for about 10 years there, and they only got really one guy off that team on the list. Tim Duncan. David Robinson was at the very beginning of that dynasty, but Manu Ginobili was a big part of that team, big part of all those championships. He played off the bench, and I think that was more a strategic thing. And but he obviously could have started, but I just think I think Manu deserves some consideration.
They got Kawhi, but he was the tail end of that.
Oh, he was way tail end. Yeah.
Still part of the championship. So
he was still carrying the veterans' bags when he was on the team.
He shut down LeBron though.
Well, sure.
I was gonna say Kawhi, the greatest pick second greatest pick in Indiana Pacers history. Never even suited up for him. He was so
great
great
for George Hill.
God damn it.
Although I guess Manu Ginobili's only been a 2-time All-Star.
Yeah,
seems wrong.
I agree with that. He should have been at least an 8-time All-Star based on his career.
But he was all NBA third team twice.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, that's my vote.
I think that's a great, Ginobili was a great player. And we all know he could have technically started. Pop just wanted him he wanted him to be the sixth man. It just fit the system and what they wanted him to do better. Yep. But for me, I just don't see how Dwight Howard is not on this list.
Yeah, crazy.
Dwight Howard, obviously, we all get the antics that he's over the years. He seems like the guy that's always joking, and he's been on like 9 teams and this and that. But Dwight Howard, when that guy came into the league as a high school player, he was a freak of nature, athleticism wise. He was a double machine. 3-time defensive player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously he had 8 All-Star appearances. So for about a 10-year stretch, maybe not 10 years, but let's just say the 5 or 6 years, he was probably the best big man in basketball.
He was the best.
Easily.
After Shaq's prime, he was it.
Exactly.
Centers in the NBA for 10 years.
Yeah, easily. So for him not to be on this list, and he took that Orlando team to the finals. Obviously, they lost to the Lakers, but I mean, that Orlando team wasn't a great team.
No, it was Dwight Howard.
Yeah, they had Jameer Nelson, Hito Turkoglu. Like, they didn't have much, and he took that team to the finals. In the East with LeBron, those Celtics teams with KG, Ray Allen. So, I mean, for him to not be on this list, and with all due respect, Anthony Davis, what has Anthony Davis done in his career?
Correct.
Besides the fact that he went to LA and LeBron got that championship for him, all them years in New Orleans, and it's not to take away. Exactly, he did, right? It's not to take away from his talent, because we all know Anthony Davis he's a great talent. But as far as his impact on the game is not more than what Dwight Howard was.
Dwight Howard would have taken that Pelicans team to the NBA Finals.
You know,
they basically had the same team, right?
Yeah. You know,
and Anthony Davis, did he even make the playoffs with them?
Maybe twice, 2 or 3 times, and gone in the first round.
Granted, he was in the West versus the East, whatever. But the East was a dominant team or dominant division in the 90s anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah, so for me, he's just one of the absolute snubs. I mean, you could mention Dirk Nowitzki probably.
He didn't make.
There's a few.
No,
other
he made
guys.
the list. Yeah, I feel like he deserves to be on there. Actually, the other thing I'll say in defense of Dwight Howard that a lot of people that kind of forget from time to time is how good of a scorer he was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's only 500 points away from passing Bernard King at number 50 all time in points.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's what people automatically don't think. He was a 20. I mean, not quite a 20 and 10, but he was averaging double doubles easily. It wasn't. He was averaging 14 and 11. Dude was averaging 19 and 14, 20 and 14, with about 3 blocks a game. So for him not to be on the list, that was kind of, a little bit shocking. I'm gonna say, I love Damian Lillard. I think he's a great player.
Should not be on the list.
I don't see how he's on the 75, one of the best 75 players ever.
Didn't they leave him off? He was on the list?
No, he was on the list.
Okay.
I just don't see how Damian
Westbrook didn't make it, right?
No, Westbrook made it.
Westbrook made it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I just don't see how
it gets weird when the players' careers are not done yet. So you can't really
No, it is. No, you're absolutely right.
As good as Giannis is too, he's only like 4 or 5, 4 or 5 years in the league, maybe 6.
8.
8?
He's about 8 years in.
Yeah.
8? Is it 8? Okay.
Pass. I mean, but you can make the argument with Giannis.
He's still learning.
Yeah, he has his chip. I mean, he's not like he's dominating, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
2 MVPs already.
Yeah.
Defensive player of the year. So I could see how the argument, like you said, Leon, even though he's been in the league, his career is still going on. But you see what he's done so far. So I could see the projection of what he can be. And even if he doesn't win anymore, he's gonna probably be a Hall of Famer just of what he's done so far,
Right.
But Lillard, I just didn't see that. I didn't see why Lillard should be. I don't consider him one of the best 75 of all time.
I'd swap him out with Vince Carter.
Yeah, those were guys that I thought of. Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady,
Dame Lillard.
I'm gonna argue Vince Carter. I mean, I'm in the full get up for New York. What are we talking about here? It's the first guy ever to play in 4 different decades, 19th all time in points, most electric dunker probably of all time. And he really helped fast forward Canada basketball, like it or not.
Yeah.
There's a resurgence in players that watched him play as kids. You're seeing it now. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jamal Murray, like all these kids like that got to grow up watching Vince Carter play. So I think gold medalist. I don't know, just longevity of career kind of hurts his case in the average stuff, but in the raw stats, he's right there.
I mean, at one point, Vince Carter was probably the second best true card to Kobe.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
you could probably make an argument, right? I mean, maybe T-Mac, you could mention T-Mac as well. But at one point, those years with Toronto and even a couple of years with the Nets, I mean, Vince Carter was one of the best two guards in the league. 8-time All-Star. Obviously, he didn't win a championship, but I don't go so much off of that. It's more team-based. I don't know. There's a few guys, man, that Grant Hill, I mean, I know Grant Hill he got hurt, but Grant Hill was on his way to be the next great. I mean, we've seen it for about 7-8 years. He was incredible.
The worst thing Grant Hill ever did was sign with Fila.
broke his feet.
Yeah, it screwed up his feet.
Yeah.
It's kind of a valid point, actually.
Yeah.
Do you have anyone making a case?
If he was signed with anybody else, Nike, Adidas, whatever, he would probably be one of the greatest twos of all time. Threes of all time.
I feel like sometimes Adidas is a bad look for some of the players for a while.
The Fila was a brand new shoes, and they didn't have their padding right.
Yeah.
Their cushion.
This is like the big baller brand stuff.
Yep.
Right.
They were terrible shoes. Terrible.
Anyone going to make a case for T-Mac? I know T-Mac fell.
No.
First half of his career, legendary. Second half, really forgettable.
Just injury plagued, and so I didn't think he.
Yeah, he was too
stuck into the Hall
good
of Fame
years were
already.
just way too short.
Yeah.
I know Pierre's going to.
Those are some good years,
but I don't think Paul Pierce should be on the list, even though he's top 20 all time in scoring.
Well, he's been milking that 08 championship forever.
Exactly, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. As much as I dislike Paul Pierce as a Knicks fan, and I just didn't like him as a person on the court. I don't know him personally, just the way he was on the court. But he was good, man. He was, got to give it to him.
It's a tough one for me.
No, absolutely. It's exactly.
He was good on a bad team. It wasn't until they
he was good on a good team though too.
True.
Yeah.
I guess.
Guy on that Celtic team, even with KG and Ray.
Yeah.
What are your guys' thoughts on Carmelo Anthony making the list?
I mean,
he's gonna go down as one of the greatest scorers of all time, though, right?
He's number 9 currently all time.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's one that I wrestle with just because, but he's a one-dimensional player.
That's all he does.
And for me, in most of these cases for guys who should get in, guys who shouldn't, I'm looking more defensively just because, it's about blocks, it's about steals. So you're definitely attributing more to more stat lines rather than just points.
But
it's tough.
He played in that era
of the
NBA where there was no defense. Defense was so de-emphasized. It was about scoring points and scoring the most points you can and getting the most efficient points per possession. The analytics really started creeping in. As a pure scorer though, there's not many better.
Not many better.
No, yeah.
And he had basically a full year off because nobody would sign him.
Right.
And he still was able to get to number 9.
Yeah.
Exactly.
With Portland / LA.
And I think he, to his own doing, obviously, I mean, those years, obviously, when he came in as a rookie, he took Denver to the playoffs right away.
Yep.
And they competed in the West every year. When he went to the Knicks, that was a mess, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I think he's looked at in a different light. Because it was talk about him joining those Miami teams. It wasn't supposed to be Bosh.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know how it would work. Obviously, we don't know. But I think if he never really had a legitimate chance to win a title just for the teams he was on. Besides that 08, I think 08 season with Denver that they made it to the Western Conference Finals, his teams were never really looked at as championship contenders.
Yeah.
And like Jason said, he was great at, it was only one thing, but he was great at that, which was scoring. That's what he did. So I don't see such a big, I can see how people would argue it, yes. But I gotta say he deserves it personally.
Yeah. So one of our panelists couldn't be here today with us. Neil writes in, Michael Cooper is his vote. 5-time champ, 8-time all defense, defensive player of the year, 86, 87, and the backbone of the defense for the Lake Show dynasty. I don't know much about him.
They played defense in the Lake Show.
Oh fuck yeah, they did. Well, not under Westhead, but
right when Riley got there.
A little before my time though.
When Riley got there, for sure. Actually, I will argue this. I would say Michael Cooper was more pivotal to the Laker championships than James Worthy, who did make the list at number 76.
It's hard to leave Worthy off that list though.
Yeah. How about it could be well, it's not controversial, but what do you guys think about Bill Walton making it?
Love it.
Yeah.
But I mean that's an era pick.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean
absolutely.
It's more pivotal to his time in Portland, and his time with the Clippers, especially because obviously his second ring came with Boston as a bench player.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of the voters are still in their heads in the mentality of like the Bill Walton that played at UCLA, the Bill Walton that played for the Portland Trailblazers.
Exactly,
who arguably was one of the greatest centers of all time. And so I'm comfortable with keeping him on the list.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, because there were people talking about that, there were people actually giving argument that there were certain guys from the 50th team that shouldn't make it. And in my opinion, is like those guys were the 50th, like you said, of their generation, individual eras. So there's no way you could take those guys off the list because they each hold their place in time, which in the era they played in. And obviously they added the 25 or 26. But, I didn't have a problem. There were people that had a problem with like actually keeping those 50.
Well, it's tough, right? Because like now that you adding 25 more years, some of those guys might get bumped. I don't know. And they also had to right some wrongs, right? Like some guys that didn't make the original 50, they had to include
Bob McAdoo, Dominique Wilkins,
right?
Reggie Miller, guys like that,
So it's tough, right? How do you guys feel about Steph Curry making the list, but not Klay Thompson?
Yeah,
I'm okay with it, but I just feel like Curry shouldn't have been on the list. As weird, like his stats and his numbers are like his importance to the Warriors, his importance to basketball.
Yes,
definitely puts him in the right spot. And so I don't want to take him off, but it's still like Lillard. It's I feel like he's just too young to be already considered one of the 75 greatest players of all time.
So that's what I was going to ask you. If you had to pick one of the two, would you lean Curry or lean Lillard?
Curry.
Oh, Curry.
Yeah.
Curry.
I mean, what?
Curry's actually won championships.
Just the MVPs alone.
Yeah, 2-time MVP, 3-time champion.
Yeah.
He's halfway through his career, and he's already the greatest three-point shooter of all time.
Does that hurt his case, though?
He got that in his first 3 years of basketball.
Yeah.
He
arguably changed the game.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He turned the NBA into what it is now currently.
3 points and dunks.
Exactly. No post ups, nothing in the lane. It was just off a fast break. Everybody shoot out to the 3-point line. They're passing this shoot.
I mean, they might make a 4-point line, just kind of for him, right?
I could see it happening.
I could see how it's tough for people to vote. Certain guys that are still within their playing time at the moment. And
he's more on the down.
Yeah, he's on the down slope. Yeah. But
Klay, I don't know. I mean, he's just.
It's tough, right? Because without Klay, you can see how regular Curry looks. Even though he looked amazing last year and he kind of carried that team, they didn't do nothing.
No. I feel like I would still argue Draymond Green over Klay Thompson.
I wouldn't because I hate Draymond Green, but he's more pivotal to that team than Klay is.
Yeah, and defensive player of the year, especially. So
I can't stand the way he carries himself on the court.
he's a Michigan State guy. That's why.
Yeah.
I look at it like if over the last 75 years, if the history of basketball for the past 75 years can't be told without you, you shouldn't be on the list.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
So somebody commented that Steph wouldn't have made a 90s squad out of college. You're right. But we already talked about there's been different eras in the NBA. And we're past that era, right?
Yeah.
He would have dominated in the 60s. So I mean,
and you know that argument,
right?
I hate when people give that argument because it's like there's guys in the 90s that couldn't play today.
Definitely.
Right.
Just because of the way the game is played. So I understand, like, sometimes people look back at those days, and obviously I love 90s basketball because I loved it, but the game has evolved into something else now. So it's easy to say Steph couldn't play in that era, but there's guys that, because of the way basketball is played now, that played in the 90s couldn't play in this era.
Horace Grant wouldn't have a job in today's NBA.
There's a ton of guys.
There's a ton of guys. Ton of guys.
I mean,
Kyle, I want to add to your argument as well, because I think the one thing, especially when somebody says like, oh yeah, if Curry was playing the 60s, he would dominate. But I look at it differently, because let's say Steph Curry grew up in the 60s, and it's the training regiments are different today than they were back then, as far as what was being taught. And so, you know, to have somebody at the same the skill level of today, if they were born in that era and grew up, it's like that's all they would know. It's not necessarily you can like transport somebody's talent back to that era. It's just you have to adhere to the rules of the game, as far as what the human body could do and cannot do as far as was back then. And so that's
I mean, they were still smoking on the
guys
sideline
from like the 60s and 70s being in heavy numbers on the top 50 list, because it's like, yeah, in that time period for what was available, it's like, of course they were the best.
Exactly.
They were still smoking. Coaches were smoking on the bench in the 60s and 70s. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no,
you could have a beer at halftime and nobody's complaining about that.
No,
well, a lot of these guys, that wasn't even
it was actually
their
frowned
primary
upon
job,
if you didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of those players had like part-time jobs
In the 50s and 60s. A lot of them had full-time jobs and play basketball.
Exactly. Like basketball was their job. Once basketball ended, they went to do their other job.
Yep.
Now there's clips on YouTube of like grade sevens doing alley oops and you know, like dunk contests and stuff. Like that
but
wasn't
I think
happening
like Ben said, you would just have adjusted to the time, like whatever era you grew up in. Yeah, nobody was playing like Steph Curry in the 60s or the 70s because that wasn't how. Yeah, they didn't play that way. Exactly.
Yeah.
You weren't taught basketball that way. Yeah,
you would have been.
You were taught like get as close to the basket as possible and then shoot.
It's crazy because on opening night, Reggie Miller had an interview with Steph, and then Reggie Miller kind of spoke after, and he was talking about like when he came into the league, like he was saying that he only averaged, I think, coming into the league like 3-pointers a game.
Yes.
And like teams were averaging, I think he said like 10 3-pointers. It was like something crazy where now teams are averaging 40 to 50 3-pointers a game. So you think about it, like imagine if Reggie Miller was able to do what Steph, because Reggie Miller was probably like one of the first that kind of was able to start shooting from that 3-point line that I know, that I could remember. I'm pretty sure there were other guys before him.
Well, Larry Bird.
It used to be a huge mark.
Yeah, but that exactly. Yeah. So imagine if he was allowed to shoot 11 times a game.
Oh, that was unheard of then, man.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was gonna say
they didn't shoot. Yeah, they didn't shoot while they were guarded or dribbling. It was all spot up.
Exactly.
You got to be wide open on the 3-point line. Reggie occasionally would take a guy off a dribble, but not very often. Steph,
yeah, he could do it.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There could be 3 guys on him. He's going to shoot it, right? So different game, different era. You got to judge them separately.
Exactly.
And then how long did Dennis Scott's like 8 or 9 3-pointers in one game record last?
Oh, that was crazy too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was like what 93 or 94, and he's like, who shoots 8 3-pointers in a game, let alone makes them all? God, that was crazy.
I'll tell you the one stat one game stat I'm still waiting for somebody to break is Scott Skiles' 30 assists in a game.
I know that's probably going to be.
I don't know if that's going to happen, man.
I know
it's all dribble up the ball and shoot it. I mean, do they even have 30 passes in a game anymore?
Barely.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So that one's going to be a record that's probably nothing's impossible, but that's going to be That might be held for a really long time.
That's a name I haven't heard in like 30 years.
Isn't the rebound record like something ridiculous, like 56 or something?
Well, Chamberlain.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
He had
like
in the same game. In the same game, he had 100. I think he had 55 rebounds.
Yep.
Yeah, those are two records.
Yeah, those aren't going to be.
That's insane. That's crazy. Like, I don't care what era you played in. If I was playing against little kids, it'll be hard to get 155.
I would believe 100 will be broken before 55.
Yeah, I could see that.
I believe that too.
Yeah.
You think so? It's going to take the 4-point line.
Kobe got close with 81.
Yeah. It's going to take one of these shooters that just get hot.
Yeah. If Steph gets hot, makes, 30 3-pointers.
Exactly.
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost have to be a guy like Clay. I think Clay, because he just doesn't move with it.
He had what, 66 points?
Yeah, 66.
Yeah, he is. Yep.
And he only dribbled the ball 19
dribbles
times.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it might be someone like that does it. I mean,
I could see that. Actually, here's a question I have for all you guys. When I was doing the research on a lot of these players who did and did not make the list, the one name that stuck out to me, and I didn't realize how great he is, and I feel bad for anything bad I ever said about this person as a player, as a human being. He's a cool guy. Chris Paul arguably might be the greatest point guard of all time over John Stockton now.
Like the atypical point guard, yeah. He didn't make the list.
Well, he just jumped in third place.
He
right?
did make the list. Yeah,
he did make the list. But I'm just saying, because for like the last 20 years or so, I would die on a hill saying John Stockton is the greatest point guard of all time, until really looking at what Chris Paul has accomplished in his career, and it's just like, damn, dude, you're like almost there.
He's almost there, yeah.
Yeah,
that playoff run last year really helped his legacy.
Absolutely.
I think without that, I mean, the OKC stuff was good, but before that, the Houston stuff is kind of going downhill. He couldn't get along with James Harden. It wasn't looking too great, but OKC kind of revitalized a little bit, and then the Phoenix.
The Clippers run where they had
so much talent.
three great players, and
Yeah.
just could never get anything going with it. That tarnished his legacy a little bit.
I mean, the biggest thing, NBA cockblocked him, right? He was supposed to go play with Kobe.
Yeah, and then David Stern said, nope.
They're like, nah, we can't do that.
I think from a stats perspective, that was probably the greatest thing that ever happened to him, though.
Yeah. Well, isn't he the first guy to be 20,000 points, 10,000 assists? I could be wrong.
No, because Stockton,
yesterday he just jumped to third place.
Stockton does not have 20,000 points yet.
Yeah, so I think
you're actually dead right about that, because he's obviously Chris Paul top 50 all time in scoring, top 5 in steals, and he's number 3 for assists. So, bang.
I've always said, to me, in my opinion, he's the definition of we know Steph plays point guard and Lillard plays point guard technically as far as position, but they're more scoring guards.
Yeah.
He's the most pure point guard that we've had over the past 10 years in the NBA.
Absolutely.
He might be the last one too, right? You can't really, a lot of these point guards now, they're
the last one was probably Steve Nash, maybe.
Point guard by name only.
Jason Kidd, exactly.
Yeah.
Jason Kidd. Yeah, those were the last true.
The 90s was stock full of point guards.
Exactly. But he's
look, a lot of these guys are listed at like 6'7" now. Some of them.
It's point forwards. Yeah, point forwards now. Yeah, you're Giannis bringing the ball up. LeBron.
Exactly.
Like what would Luka play in a different era? He would almost be
center.
Like a power forward.
He would be a center. Yeah. Power forward.
Power
forward. Really.
Yeah. So it's
what, 6'7"?
6'8". Yeah. About 6'8", give or take.
God, he just doesn't look that tall, which is strange as hell.
Yeah.
He's thick too. Thick boy.
Yeah.
So to see, Chris Paul, I've always he's just the definition of a true leader, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's the guy you want out there. He's gonna run your offense. He's gonna hold guys accountable. Yeah, he hasn't won a championship, but like Leon said, I think last year, taking that Phoenix team to the finals and what they were able to do, obviously they came up short. but it really kind of elevated him back. You know, not that he wasn't considered a great, but it kind of gave him a little bit more validation, I think, in my opinion.
He almost achieved
I can agree with that.
He almost achieved that Kyle Lowry status when Kyle Lowry brought championship to Toronto.
Oh, wait, I don't see Lowry on this. No. Okay.
He's still playing.
He's probably in Canadia's top 75, maybe.
He's still playing, so jury's still out. He's still got.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. He wins one with Miami, then we can talk about it.
But I think with like any list, obviously there's gonna be snubs, guys that you believe should have been on,
especially when you have old writers voting on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for us to judge. I mean, we didn't see any of these guys. A lot of these guys play.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
Right? It's like I can't argue for or against Wilt Chamberlain. Like it's tough, right? I just got to go by the stats, Like.
and that's where it gets tough, right? Because like you can look at the stats, but because of those errors, the stats completely change.
Yeah.
Some stats become meaningless. Some
weren't even tracked.
Right. Blocks weren't tracked until I don't know, sometime
I think the 70s or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's hard. And in early NBA, I mean, most of the games were even televised, so there's not a lot of film. Like you can't find film on George Mikan at all.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to judge some of those older guys. So I'm okay with them putting the 50 back on the list, and even adding a few. You just basically just lock those in stone right now.
Exactly.
The only guys I wouldn't lock are the ones that are still playing. On the 75 list. But other than that, I think you just keep moving forward and we'll look for another list at 100.
Yeah.
That I feel like the 100 list is going to cause more of a shitstorm than the 75 list.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Imagine if they actually rank them, then we'd.
They won't ever do that. They won't ever do that because that whole LeBron, Michael, Kobe. That will cause actual wars.
Did you see the new quote? Yeah, the new quote from Pippen to sell his memoir. He's saying that Jordan only released Last Dance so that people would stop calling LeBron the GOAT.
Wow.
Sure. Why Michael Jordan produced a documentary about himself?
Yeah.
Why would it not put him in the best possible light?
Of course.
It's still a great documentary, though.
LeBron is not going to have a very similar documentary.
Of course, in 20 years.
Why do you think he's making the barbershop right now? Well, he's got a camera crew following him 24/7.
Yeah, 20 years.
They said there was a similar crew that followed around Kobe. So they're working on the Kobe one, too.
Yeah. Yep.
That'll be a good one.
Like, gone in a lot of these talks before he passed was, his GOAT talk. And not many people talked about him up until more recent when he passed away and stuff, but that kind of got lost too in the fray. So that's a discussion for another day. GOAT talk.
There's no wrong answer there.
No, there's not.
As long as you say MJ.
Yeah.
Ain't wrong with any of them.
That's tough. But yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
it was
fun. Thank you guys for partaking. I guess if you guys have any comments for us, any players we missed, mention in the comments. If you guys can drop a like on the video on the way out. Anything we need to add before we go? I think it's a good time to kind of cut it here.
I want to thank you guys for having me on again for this discussion.
Yo, man, thanks for being flexible. I mean, we gave you like all of probably 3-4 hours to prep. So
you know me, I'm when it's game time, I'm ready to shine.
Is that why you're quiet on Twitter the last few hours? You're doing all this research, huh?
Oh yeah, and then talking shit to Giants fans about the Buster Posey rule.
Oh God, yeah.
Buster Posey.
But all right, guys,
we'll talk about this whole Japan national team versus the Atlanta Braves.
Oh, that argument. Oh yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about that some other time.
That's gonna take hours.
People are arguing that right now?
No. Ben and me were arguing that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because he called the Braves the world champions.
I mean, the one thing I'll add to that is it's always the nomenclature that comes with it that whoever wins the World Series is the world champion. Right. And so, I had to throw Japan in there because it's like, well, we had the Summer Olympics and the Japanese team, of course, dominated, won the gold again. Even when we do the World Baseball Classic, they've been the powerhouse.
Even the Little League World Series.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
now,
I think it's time to respect our baseball overlords in Japan.
That's true. But to be fair, they did name it in 1903.
Yeah.
When baseball consisted of like 6 cities. So, we'll have that argument another day.
Oh, absolutely.
That would be a cool matchup. But until next time, guys, stay fitted. We out.